Okay, so I want to just get right to it. Former member of Knesset Moshe Feiglin, head of the Zahut Party. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You made quite a storm with your commentary on Channel 14. I want to make sure I quote it correctly. This is a translation from the Hebrew, but you said the enemy is not Hamas, nor is it the military wing of Hamas. Every child in Gaza is the enemy. We need to occupy Gaza and settle it, and not a single Gazan child will be left there. There is no other victory. What did you mean by that?
Very simple. The enemy is Gaza. The enemy is not Hamas. Hamas is just the leadership of Gaza. Just imagine if the British people would have said at the beginning of World War II that the German Wehrmacht or the German Air Force, Luftwaffe, is the enemy. Would they win the war? Of course not. They realized that this is a national war. They were not attacked by the Nazi Party of Germany. They were attacked by Germany, by the German nation. And because of that, they fought and they burned to ashes Dresden and Hamburg and almost every German city they could. When the wheel of war changed, direction changed, I don't think they did any difference between who's a member of the Nazi Party or who is not a member of the Nazi Party. Not even civilians. Same things with America and Japan.
So I think that what was inflammatory.
I'll just
yeah.
just let
Absolutely.
me just,
Go ahead.
Now, German soldier crossed the English Channel and did what the people of Gaza did to us at the 7th of October. Okay, nothing near that. Okay, yet when they could destroy every German city they got to, they did it because it's a national war. So the minute you said the war is not against Gaza, it's against Hamas, you actually gave them a ticket out. Why 20 months later there's no victory. And there will be no victory until you understand who's the enemy.
I think that part of the outrage was people saying, okay, you might have an enemy and it might even be a 10-year-old with an AK-47. It might be an 8-year-old. But when you say baby, you were just calling to why did you mention baby? I guess is the question that some people were asking.
I was a member of the Knesset during Tzuk Eitan. Tzuk Eitan, it was in 2014, I think, if I remember right.
Yep.
11 years ago. There were kids in Gaza at Tzuk Eitan as well. Those kids in Tzuk Eitan, the Nukhba murderers who raped and killed children at the 7th of October. So we have to realize that we're not dealing with individuals over here. We are dealing with a group, with an ethnical group that the very basic reason for their existence, the way they see it, it's a religion, is to kill Jews, is to kill you no matter what. And they did it to the most helpful Jews who wanted to live in peace with them. So yes, every child that will stay in Gaza is a ticking bomb that will do to you and to your children exactly what the children of Tzuk Eitan did at the 7th of October.
What is your proposed solution for the population in Gaza?
Exactly what the solution of the President of America, what Donald Trump said, which is exactly what the Zehut Party that I'm the head of is saying for many, many years before. They should all be expelled. They lost any to remain at the Gaza Strip, which is part of the land of Israel, and belong to the Jews and only to the Jews. And if we think that by giving our land to a group of terrorists, we're going to gain peace, we'll simply gain more and more terror, like the 7th of October. It is very simple. They should find their future somewhere else.
How do you evaluate Benjamin Netanyahu's performance since Donald Trump was sworn back into office as the 47th president of the United States?
Unfortunately, the Israeli leadership since Oslo has no other vision than this big mistake or disaster concept of creating a new nation, the Palestinians. They were never a nation, and they're not a nation right now. However, these tribes who live in the Gaza Strip, this terror regime that we created in the Oslo process when we brought the PLO and gave those murderers control of the Gaza Strip and Judea and Samaria, should not be there anymore. But even though the right wing won the election in 1996, a year after the Oslo process was signed, Netanyahu continued. He met Arafat in 96. He gave a speech of the Golan speech, and he has no vision outside the frame, outside of the frame of the Oslo process. And that's why 30 years later, when you blame the Israeli left of what they did, their answer is, so why didn't you throw this process to the garbage of history? Why didn't you change it? Why did you keep it? And the truth is that they're right. So today, the right leadership, the leftist leadership, are to be blamed equally, the same way.
Yesterday, there was also controversy coming from Yair Golan, who accused the IDF and the soldiers of the IDF of killing babies in Gaza as a hobby. And he then came back on a televised address and said that the criticism was directed against the government, not the IDF. But what do you make of that?
A philosopher, and of course, what he said is disgusting. Is a very easy way to describe it. Of course, no Israeli soldier is killing babies as a hobby. It's so absurd and so disgusting that there's nothing to even answer such a thing. To add to that something very basic. When we declared that the enemy is Hamas and not Gaza, as I mentioned before, we actually said that this is a war against individuals. It's like cops and thieves, cops and murderers and robbers. And the Nukhba terrorists are going to be sentenced, go on trial, and be sentenced. Now, once you do that, you lose your legitimacy to fight this fight as a real war. If a bank robber is running out of the bank with a sack of, dollars on his back into a house, are you allowed to bomb the house? Of course not, because it's a criminal act. It's not an act of war, okay? So once you yourself, Israel itself, made a very clear difference between the murderers of Hamas and describe the rest of the Gaza residents as innocent people, you open the gate to an idiotic claims like Yair Golan's and others.
So you think that the heart of the matter is actually going back to really October 7th in the afternoon, and how what would then become the war cabinet and the leadership of the IDF examine the problem. How does Israel make adjustments going forward?
This is exactly what I was trying to say from the 7th of October at the very beginning, and I said it at every stage I could get, that the war is against Gaza, not against Hamas. And the goal of the war should be occupying immediately the entire Gaza Strip. It took half a day in the 6-day war. It took a day and a half at the 1956 war, Mivtza Kadesh, against real armies. Israel could have done it and should not have waited for the Americans to come and all these nonsense. And then we should have expelled all the murderers, all this population that took part and backed the most horrific things that Israel ever faced. And then we should have rebuilt Gush Katif, and the city of Gaza should have been built again as an Israeli city, just as we did in Ashkelon and Ashdod, in Beersheba, in many, many cities of Israel in 1948, on the rubbles of Arab villages that were there before. We should have done exactly the same. That would have been a real victory, and something that will radiate and send a signal to all our enemies. Once you attack Israel, you're losing your land, and you instead of occupy from the river to the sea, you're being expelled from the river to the sea. It would have been a victory, and a fast victory, and it would have saved us hundreds of casualties by the soldiers, and I believe that many of the hostages would have been freed this way and much faster.
In closing, do you think that Israel as a society has the bandwidth and the capability to do what you're suggesting?
The answer is definitely yes. The Israelis are a real hero. We see a generation of heroes that is willing to sacrifice more than ever before. The problem is only the leadership.
Moshe Feiglin, thank you so much for joining and expounding on your comments yesterday and offering your vision for what's going on. I really appreciate it, and look forward to connecting soon.
You're welcome.
Thank you.